In this video, you can expect to learn why it is that we choke on the golf course, what's going on psychologically and what's going on in our body, and how can we overcome these choking experiences. And why is there a picture of a dog on my whiteboard? All will be revealed. So I think we've all been there. We're on the 14th or 15th hole. We've got a good round going. It's been in the back of our mind for a few holes and it's crawled its way to the front of our mind. We know that if we just have a few pars to finish, a couple of bogeys, we're going to have our best ever round. We're going to break 80 or we're going to be lifting that trophy. We've all been there, hopefully. And suddenly we get sweaty hands, racing thoughts, our body starts to tense up and everything just falls apart. Now let me tell you a little story. Just over 20 years ago when I first started playing golf, after a couple of years my handicap was coming down and I reached the final of what was kind of the match play championship. It was one of the bigger tournaments at our club. And I reached the final against the future prospect, the guy who turned pro. Everybody expected him to win. And I stood on the 13th tee, 6 up. So that's Dormy 6 up, 6 to play. And he made a birdie on 13, par on 14. I lost a couple of holes. But by the time I got to the 16th...
He's choking! He's choking! Somebody help! We need a doctor! He's choking!
It was already in my head that I had lost the match. I remember it very, very well. It was like it was yesterday. And sure enough, the first playoff hole, I missed a putt from 3 feet and that was all that she wrote. So, let's break this down. There's 2 types of choking. We're going to have type 1 and type 2. So let's break this down. Type 1 is in the moment, outcome focus. Okay, so it's a bit like what I described of you reaching the 14th hole and you start to think ahead. You start to think about lifting that trophy. The first indication is that you start to think about your round. When this starts to happen, you're getting excited, you're getting stressed, there's emotions going on. And what happens is your nervous system actually sort of ramps up. What kind of symptoms do we experience in these moments? Sweaty hands, racing thoughts, tension in the body. There's a lot going on. Now, it's worth noting that this isn't necessarily choking yet. Choking would be not managing this situation well and letting the experience have the best of us. So, an example, look at Rory. He's just won the Grand Slam. He just won the Masters. And now this tournament was very important to him. But if you took a look at him when he reached the 18th green in the final round, the first time round before the playoff, he had a putt from 4 or 5 feet to win it. Take a look at his body language and his face before he had to putt. He looked like a ghost. He was twitching all over the place. He couldn't stand still. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're the best in the world or whether you're a club golfer. When something means something to you, when something is important, you're going to generate this kind of experience within inside of you. It's very natural to think ahead of what could possibly happen. It's the way our minds will work by default. So that's type 1, which is the future focused. Type 2 is the memory based. Now, if we go back to the story I told you when I was 6 up with 6 to play and lost the match, let me tell you, that left a wound. That really, really hurt. And I did not forget that for a really long time. And it's worth knowing how memories are actually formed. You see, we don't form memories randomly and remember everything that's happened in our life. We remember the experiences that have an emotional weight to them. If you go back to the earliest memories of your life, they were very likely to be emotionally charged experiences. If I ask you to remember a funeral or a wedding or a graduation or something like that, or your best round, you're going to remember those moments. If I ask you to remember what it was like to drive to work last Wednesday, don't know. So when we have this experience of being in a situation and we've choked and it's been very difficult for us, we're going to remember it. Okay, so how will this memory resurface? Well, when we are confronted in a situation that reminds us of what happened last time. So we're effectively triggered. And what's going to happen when we are triggered by this past experience, if we're not aware of what's going on? Well, the emotions from the past experience we're going to relive that experience in the present. Those emotions from that past experience will rise again. We're going to feel those emotions. And then we might start to tell ourselves stories such as, this always happens to me, or I am such a choker. So we've created an identity out of this. So, what should we do to overcome these challenging moments, these moments that are important to us when we have a good round going?
Help is on the way, dear! Mrs. Doubtfire! Help is on the way!
So type 1, when we are in this experience where we notice we've got 4 or 5 holes left to go, make some pars, a couple of bogers, it's my best round, okay? Hold your horses, okay? We need to introduce some self-awareness. Notice when your hands are getting a bit sweaty, when you start beaming into the future, just be aware of when this happens, because this is what's creating this stress. Okay, so we need to slow down and we need to become aware, and we actually need to exercise a bit of mindfulness. How do we do that? Well, we use our senses, because when we use our senses, we are grounded in the present moment. Okay, take a look around you. Look at the birds, look at the trees, look at the greens, whatever. Another great grounding exercise is to focus on the pressure on the bottom of your feet when you're walking down the fairway. Our feet have a lot of nerve endings, so it will help us literally ground. We can also do a breathing exercise. If you take a look at Mickelson, when he has a high pressure shot, he stands back behind the ball and you'll see him take a big deep breath in, his shoulders rise, chest is out, and then he lets it out. And this sort of exercise will actually just let our nervous system know that everything's okay. We'll keep those emotions down, keep the stress down, and we'll be able to better focus. What about type 2? Okay, this has happened before in the past to us. It's happened many times, it keeps re-happening. What can we do? Okay, now we're going to understand why we have a dog in the frame here. So we're going to use this dog as an example, as an analogy. Let's imagine that this dog, this naughty dog, is our thoughts, okay? And if we were to have a naughty dog that we wanted to get in line, then what we wouldn't do is have a really long lead with lots of slack. Because if you do that, what's going to happen? That dog's just going to run around and round and round. It will bite what it wants, it will eat what it wants, it will go wherever it wants. So what would you do if you had a naughty dog that you wanted to be better behaved for you? You would very simply get a shorter lead, or you'd reel that lead in and keep it very short. And the moment that dog decides to do something that it shouldn't do, you just yank it back in, just like you should do with your thoughts. Okay, so when you get to the 14th tee or the 15th tee, this familiar spot for you where everything tends to fall apart, bring some awareness into the thoughts that are recreating this experience for you, and just pull them straight in. Don't let them spiral around and pull you into this whirlpool of emotions. Okay, we need to cut that out, because the past doesn't determine the future, and we can't predict the future. Yeah, so these past memories don't serve us. So to summarize this, how can we choke less? It's very simple. We have to take responsibility for our thoughts. We need to introduce some self-awareness, recognize when physically we're stressed, or notice when these thoughts start swirling, to find a way to ground ourselves and not get caught up in the stories. If you know somebody who's a bit of a choker, give them a little jab, and then send them this video. It could really help them. And if you'd like more content like this, then hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching.